When I first came to the health center, I actually came through as a client. And it was for mental health services for my family and I when I was going through separation from a domestically abusive relationship.
Yeah, we have the usual services that other mental health clinics have: the couples counseling, the children's counseling, and we have an additional kind of counseling, which is we call it the traditional consultant counseling. And when we say traditional, we mean Native American traditional.
What I got out of it was within those 2 hours with the traditional consultant, I got more out of that than I got out of the months of the hourly, the weekly visits with the therapist.
A lot of our families are single parents, and the single parents are not the guys; it's the women. And if you got 5 or 6 kids and you got to make a living too, whoa! In the inner city, my God, that's a heck of a job to do.
And I'd seen the change in my own children. I'd seen the weight be lifted off of their shoulders because kids sometimes internalize things and think that it's their fault or think that they have something to do with a situation. But the way the medicine person went about, hearing them talk about their issue and praying with them and fanning them off and smudging them off and using medicine and using words that they were familiar with, I could see that he did, far greater, good for them than the actual therapy.
There's somebody that's coming to our clinic and they're seeing a therapist on a regular basis once a week. We might, one of those therapy sessions, we might, instead of having the counselor there, along with the counselor, we'll have the traditional consultant there. And they'll give another angle, another perspective, and, come from a cultural perspective, and that might be what clicks for the client.
It's something that's made me stronger. And it's something that has that I know women all over the world go through. So it's not new. It's not a new story, my story. It's a common story. But coming out of it and being able to hold my head up high and be proud of who I am now sometimes isn't that common story.
And all that has been done to us over the generations, how have we as a distinct people survived? All of their efforts at genocide, all of their efforts. How is it that we as a Native people continue to not only survive, but to really strive?
I think the Western approach to give a medicine is still just another way of treating the symptom. It's not really looking at the cause of the behavior. And so I think the traditional consultant will, offer things to the family to consider to see what is the cause. And sometimes the cause is not even, not even something in this present time. It might be a reaction, again, the historical trauma that the child might be exhibiting, some of the unresolved grief from a generation before them. And so the clinical psychologist might not always bring this to the family to consider. And so the traditional consultant will sometimes open it up and offer this as a way, another perspective to look at it. And then so an intervention might be, teaching the family and the child about the history and putting things in perspective to understand why the behaviors are there.
We recognize an essence and a spirit of what might be imploding and imposing upon that person. But there's a way ceremonially, spiritually, that person can be brought out of there without medicating them. But we can use herbs, traditional herbs, natural herbs, not man-made herbs.
We've been doing this for a long time, a holistic approach. And we realize when we talk about it, it's hard for people to conceptualize what we're talking about. So we came up with a graphic, and this is the graphic. And we just entitled it Holistic System of Care for Native Americans in an Urban Environment. And in the center is the red dot, and this is kind of like a symbol for spirit. And everything that we do has this acknowledgement of spirit. And instead of saying that we're human beings having a spiritual experience, we're really spiritual beings having a human experience. So the next circles kind of represents that earth body that we have, which is air, fire, water, and the earth itself.
Our old people knew all of these things. And so what they would do is, like special mental illness, it was considered to be a living sickness. And if it's a living sickness, then it possibly can be healed and taken away, and that person is going to be whole again. And if not, and they'll know by the end of the healing ceremonials that this is a special person.
I'm not saying that there are some good medications out there, but we're overdoing it in that sense. We're trying to do it at the physical, and we're not coming down the real essence of the spirit. The spirit. The spirit first connects to the mental, the emotional, and then the physical.
What's important about this program is that we do offer the Western approach. We offer our traditional consultants to our community members, and we also have events. And I think this is what most Western mental health programs don't understand. They think if we have an event, it's like, okay, yeah, that's nice, you had an event, but the events are also part of our service delivery, because this is where we bring the community together. It's a real important part of Native culture to be among others, to be with your relatives. And so when we have the events, we bring the community together in a very similar way that they were together before, culture was disrupted, when we lived in communities together before. And so it's, while the Western world might not think this is a therapeutic intervention, we all understand how therapeutic it is to bring community members together.
That actually goes all the way back to my grandfather. He would tell us that, you leave your community and you learn what you have to learn in the outside world, and then you come back to your community and you give back to the youth. And, when I was young, I thought, yeah, Grandpa, yeah, you're just talking. And, once you leave here, you leave. You don't come back to Oakland. You don't come back to, to the Fruitvale district, or you just move on. And I'm here. I'm in the Fruitvale. I'm working with the community. I'm giving back to the kids, and I love it. And I can't see myself anywhere else. I can't see myself behind a desk working for someone else, doing something that isn't attached to my heart or to my soul. And these kids it's just so important that they have someone that they can connect to and that they can identify with, that has been through similar things that they're going through now. I actually see people being hired on, here and in some of the other Native agencies, who are going through recovery, who are living a really harsh lifestyle, who are actually happy, having families, being productive, and contributing to the community in positive ways. And if we lose funding or we lose services, what I see is that the staff tries to maintain those things, and then our staff become tired, our staff become overburdened because they understand the need.
The things that we do with Native people are very good for us. They are our best practices. And sometimes mental health funding, because they don't understand our cultural model, they don't really create funding streams for us to enhance our events or our talking circles or our prevention programs for our next generation. And these are the things that we know work, but a lot of times the requests for grants don't even put these items in the RFPs, because they don't really know about them, they don't really understand them. And these are the things that we know work in our community, and these are the things that we hope the Mental Health Services Act money, which is supposed to be freed up to do new, innovative, cultural things, we hope that we can get some mental health funding to enhance these programs, because right now the way the funding streams are, they don't even really include money for these kinds of things because they don't really even know about them, and they're very effective in our community.